Okay, great. All right. The video tonight is called Urinit, and it is about the most important video anyone could possibly watch if they're interested in bottom line survival. Enjoy. Urinit, the P revolution, evolution's missing link, secret to sustainability. Now, on the farm, this was the first time in my life when I had had the freedom to spend my time doing whatever I wanted to do. Of course, the farming, the growing of tomatoes, fruit, carrots, and beets was always before me, but I was on my own schedule. I started writing about what life had shown me. Working alone with the earth is an ancient thing. Smoking ganja all the time turns it into a meditation that has no limits. I would fire up a J and contemplate the situation. Many times. One evening, just after sunset, I was taking a pee and partaking of the sacrament under my favorite jackfruit tree when I felt something moving up my back, a strange feeling starting down low. I closed my eyes and was flooded with a vision, a scene of countless tiny organisms seething, moving and pushing upward like in a wave. And I heard a swish, a sound, as the whole of them moved up, and as they moved up, another line of creatures appeared as from the first, but different, greater, larger, crawly, and of greater number. Then another and another set of creatures, higher and higher forms of life, and then another. As the feeling moved up my spine, I could see the phylums of life, each more complicated than the previous, yet infused from the same source as from before. This continued until the current reached my head, when it came out the top of my skull as a snake. I thought, what can this mean? And the feed continued. That is what I call it, a feed from the earth. And I comprehended that within our own genetics, we have the genetics of all creation, and that those organisms were able to communicate and influence one another. Genetic communication and migration. The revelation continued, and I realized that I could use my own urine to connect with and communicate with the rest of life at a biochemical genetic level. I had connected with my pee. The science was a wonder to behold. I could use plants fertilized with my own urine to grow fruit that was genetically designed for me based on my own epigenetics. This fruit would have epigenetic triggers that would allow me to alter my own epigenetic profile. This was the most elegant idea I had ever thought, and the key to a new modality of health. This was really making growing food your medicine. The food that we eat can do more than provide the nutrients we need or the energy we derive. What we eat can change our own epigenetic profile. This was the missing link in Darwin's theory of evolution. One of the criticisms and questions about evolution was a seeming absence of transitional fossils. Darwin studied the finches that inhabited the various islands of the archipelago and proposed the idea of natural selection. He suggested that the finches that settled on the island that had hard seeds as a source of food developed their larger and stronger beaks through competition. The strongest could eat more and outproduce the weaker beaks, and that over time they would prevail. The time period for this kind of selection involved hundreds of generations. Critics of evolution have said that there should be fossil remains of the transition, but few to none have been found. My theory of food-induced epigenetic effect would allow for this kind of adaptation to take place in a few generations and explain the absence of transitional fossil records. The use of my own urine to grow genetic triggers began to fascinate me. I had long known the relationship between manure, plants, and farming. I started studying pea. I have a lifelong history with pea and manure. Being born and raised on an animal-intensive farm, I knew the poo made the corn grow and had been an integral part of the whole cycle since birth. I understood the nutritional value of manure from cattle, chickens, and hogs. But what about humans? The way it works for humans is the same as with other mammals. It is the energy cycle. My investigation of pea and its uses led me directly to one of the most interesting books I've ever read, The Humanure Handbook by Joseph Jenkins, a saint. The book is a history of toilets and the use of human manure in agriculture and medicine. He is an advocate of waterless toilets to protect the water supply and recycle essential nutrients. Human urine is 18% organic nitrogen, similar to the nitrogen content of all mammals. Human manure has been used for thousands of years, and I was starting to think of a way to use it today. The secret is separating toilets, and not to mix our urine with our feces. The urine is where most of the nutrients are found, and when collected separately, it's much easier and safer to use. I was beginning to see the gold, liquid gold, because human urine could solve a big problem. That problem is the problem with organic farming. The problem with organic farming is simple. Inputs, fertilizer. There is an extremely limited quantity of commercially available organic fertilizer, certified organic fertilizer. When I started organic farming in the Redlands, the only certified organic fertilizer available was composted turkey manure and fish emulsion. Over several years, the cost of these inputs skyrocketed, and the availability was shrinking. Artificial fertilizer is readily available in massive quantities, but not organic. I knew this was a problem even for us small-time organic growers. The idea that we could replace chemical fertilizers with organic inputs was simply not possible. There was only one untapped source of natural organic fertilizer: ourselves, human urine. We need to start collecting all of our urine to obtain the nutrients necessary to survive. My plan was to start a company that collects urine and uses it as fertilizer. This was the last link in the circle of sustainability I had been looking for. But to understand this idea, you need to be aware of the mighty energy cycle. The food energy cycle. We eat food to get energy. The main purpose of all life is to obtain energy through the food consumed. Most people do not perceive the biological reason for eating. They simply are hungry, eat, and feel better, but do not consciously grok that the energy cycle itself is at work. It is the most amazingly integrated system in the entire cosmos. It is the modality of life. This is how it works. The sun pours out 430 quintillion joules of energy upon the earth each hour. That energy is absorbed by plants through photosynthesis and is used to create sugars and carbohydrates from the basic elements, mostly nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. We eat these fruits, and the covalent bonds holding these complex carbohydrates together are broken up by the acids in our stomach. This process releases the energy of the sun as heat. That is why we are warm-blooded. After the energy has been released, the physical remains of the food is excreted as urine and feces, and is intended to be returned to the earth to feed the plants, who are busy repeating the cycle once again. Food is really a battery for energy. The whole process is called nature. The numbers are stunning. The average person produces 49 pounds of sterile organic nitrogen in their urine and feces each year. The average person eats 1,000 pounds of food a year. It takes 50 pounds of nitrogen to grow 1,000 pounds of food. In other words, we could grow a sustainable food supply for virtually an unlimited number of people simply by recycling our own human manure, while we will simultaneously be protecting our one shared water supply. This is an elegant vision that was practical, doable, and conscious. I began to weave the P argument into all my gardens, tours, and meetings. I was convinced that the P company would save humanity and make me $1 million. It was one of those things. Good at every level. The knowledge and experience of my entire life was beginning to come together and make sense in a way I thought unusual. I started to write. My goal was to articulate a universally agreeable worldview that would heal a world full of disagreement based on fear and hate. Years of smoking marijuana, praying, and thinking about how people see and view one another has revealed the source of social fear and conflict. I call it the Great Lie. The Great Lie is the mother of all other lies, philosophies, religions, and political ideologies. I'm always trying to raise things to their lowest possible power, to simplify and reduce an almost infinite manifestation of ideas and philosophies to their simplest quantum form, the seed idea.